think you should do the intro today.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No!
I'm gonna go inside and get more.
Don't go, I've only seen you go one time. On today's episode of Fly Hacks, we'll be showing you how to sharpen your scissors and also how to tie a fly called the Oh Shucks.
Someone recently asked me how to sharpen scissors. First, identify the problem. Are your scissors actually dull, or do they have a loose joint? If they're catching in the middle of cutting, then yes, they are dull, or you've cut too much copper wire with them. The simple answer to that is aluminum foil. This is not going to sharpen the scissor perfectly. It's not even going to get scissors brand new again. All it's going to do is sharpen them slightly better than what they were sharpened before, which was dull. Get your aluminum foil, fold it in half. Fold it in half again. Fold it in half again. And fold it in half again. Now you have 16 pieces of aluminum foil. Cut lines in them. 5 or 6 should do her. You're done. Blow your mind, son! You're not as good as buying a brand new pair of scissors, which would be a way better idea than trying to sharpen your scissors all the time. You'll eventually wear them down and they will be dull. So just support your local fly shop and buy new scissors all the time. Buy dozens of them. This fly is called the Aw Shucks. It's kind of chilly to be wearing, just a shirt in here. I'm not wearing pants. This hook is a Tiemco 212Y. Thread we're using is an 8/0 uni thread in white. Instead of just going over the top, go underneath, take your bobbin side toward you. Your thumb has got the tag end, and make a wrap. And you can scoot this up and down, right behind where the hook starts to bend. Yes, there is a flat spot on this hook and it's very small. This is Opal Mirage Flashaboo. Tie this guy in. Make sure you have a nice smooth body all the way up. And commence to wrapping. Now this fly is based off of the Clink Hammer and also Jay Zimmerman's Clown Shoe Caddis. When I get to tying in the hair portion of this, I'll tell you why it's so brilliant. Wrap beyond the thread. Just once. Hold this back here. Your normal thread tying hand. Look at that. You don't have to sit here and switch things over. Next thing you get is a piece of micro tubing. This is designating the color of the body of the fly that is still trapped inside the shuck. Tie this down. You can stretch this a little bit, pull it tight, and cut it off. Wrap it down. A little bit less than halfway here. That's about good. Again, past the thread, wrap it over. And this vise is really starting to get on my nerves. So cut this guy off. And you're done with the very first part. Give this a little whip finish here. Just one. Nothing special. Cut it off. And now you're going to switch out your thread from a white to an olive 8/0 thread. If you're not really comfortable with using 8/0 thread for tying in things like deer hair and elk hair, then I would suggest throwing on a 6/0. So just start this guy right on top of where you finished the last one. That'll kind of hold that in place a little better. This is elk hair. This is just natural elk hair. You're going to grab just a few pieces of it. I mean, that might be 20 or so. I'm not counting these hairs. Oh, there goes 2. So maybe 18. So cut that off and get the little fuzzies out of there. The best way to do it is to twist it between your fingers there on the tips. It'll open up the hairs itself, and then you can just reach in there and pull out any of those wayward fibers. Put this in the stacker. This is why Zimmerman's clown shoe caddis is so brilliant. The portion of the hook that is down below the surface of the water, measure these out right to the back of the bend of the hook, is pulling down on it, and that creates torque on this fly. So if you just tie it in hackle, your fly will not float. However, if you tie this in behind hackle, then this acts as a float for the torque that's being put on the fly by the weight of this part of the fly. So every clinkhammer style hook should, or clinkhammer style fly should be tied exactly like this. I went way too far forward with that. I'm going to go back behind it a little bit, readjust my hairs here. We're going to tie in parapost. You could use calf body hair, you can use rabbit hair, whatever you want to post with really, but keep it small. This is just to identify this from a bunch of bubbles floating by. You can tie this really small because you're not using that much material. You're using a bunch of different kinds of material, but not much of any one kind. So leave yourself a good little portion to whip finish. Always remember that when you're tying flies. So you're going to wrap behind this and don't post it. Do not post this fly yet. Cut this off a little more to keep it in the frame here. There. So just long enough to where you can still manage it with your fingers. Get a hackle, a grizzly hackle, and strip off the bottom of it or cut it off. It doesn't really matter what you do here. And go back to this post, just where you're right up against it. Tie it in front, pull it up, tie behind it, and post your fly with the hackle and the post. I had to put my scissors down there, they were in the way. And you only need 3 or 4 turns here. And if you grab a couple of elk hairs in this, don't worry, it's okay. Now you can tie these however way you want to tie in the, if you're used to doing parachutes a certain way, do it that way. This is just an easier way to do things. So this is just olive ultra fine dubbing. Just get a little tiny piece of that. You don't need much. Give it a couple wraps in front and then wrap underneath your elk hair. Tuck it up nice and neat there. Get a little more. Now, tie in or start wrapping this hackle. Take your hackle, same side as where your thread is, so this is the far side of you, and wrap your hackle around the thread. Take your thread and your hackle and just weasel that guy up on the eye. You've already got thread wraps on there. You are 100% a-okay. And it's always going to have these few little guys sticking out of the front. Don't worry about that. We're going to take this dude. He's really stuck there. Cut him off. And then put a couple of half hitches in this. So when you half hitch it, just take this where my index finger is here, that thread, and just put it underneath the eye and cross-side, and then lift it over and push it down. And you tend to grab less fibers that way. Cut this off, and it doesn't matter what you cut off underneath here because it's a parachute. Now, all these feathers that you, or these barbs that you tied in when you tied in that hackle, those are now legs. Now grab your post, lean it forward. Takes a little bit of effort to do that. Make sure everything's all laid out. Take the top of this and just cut off a little piece. Like I said, this is just there so that you can differentiate between your fly and a little wayward bubble. Get some head cement, and this is very unorthodox here. Drop it right down in the center of this post. And if you have regular head cement, just thin it out a little bit and it'll all soak up in there. Thank you for taking the time out of your strenuously busy day to watch this episode. Please like, share, subscribe. I need friends. Friends! Why? I built a snowman and I was talking to him.